All right, thank you. I was just waiting for that little acknowledgement that it was recording. All right, thank you everybody for being here. I want to welcome you to our downtown Tempe streetscape improvement on Mill Avenue from University to Rio Salado Merchants meeting. This is the first one of 2025. Today is January 14th, and we're going to try to kick off this year with as much information as we can give you and try to make it as clear as possible. Next slide. So some of the things I'm going to be talking about and what the project is for. The scope of this project is to improve a lot of the ADA cross slope issues that we have and expand a lot of the pedestrian spaces along Mill Avenue. We've installed new pavers. We're going to be installing historic markers at a lot of the intersections. A big portion of this project, though, is going to be the infrastructure upgrades to the irrigation and the electrical, and just taking a look at a lot of the other street lights and things like that that are along this project that we can help maintain throughout this process. We're also going to be installing some new bus shelters, and the city has a new tree palette that will be introduced on this project. We're going to be keeping a lot of the mature trees as long as we possibly can and maintain those, but any new trees that will be introduced are the ones that were selected by our engineering committee. Next slide. So the project area, as you can see on these two exhibits, will cover from Rio Salado all the way down south to Mill Avenue. And we will be working on both sides of the streets throughout this portion of throughout this project. And we will be doing, as I mentioned, a lot of the upgrades that I talked about earlier. Next slide. Phase one, as you have already seen, we have completed the intersection at Mill Avenue and University. Asphalt is completed. The new pavers are in, the new ADA ramps, street light infrastructure, electrical, all those things went in whenever we completed Mill Avenue and University. We continued north of that to 7th and Mill, and that's going to be, I think, where Casey is going to take over for part of the phase two construction. Oh, no, I still got a couple more slides. I apologize. Part of the improvements that we did at University and Mill, we included concrete bands that would separate some of the patio spaces with the new pavers. That way we had some solid edges to put our new pavers up against, and we weren't having some misalignments with our new stuff. Next slide. Now it's Casey, sorry.
Yeah, so phase two of the project was from University Drive up to 7th Street. This didn't include the intersection of 7th Street, just the sidewalk area between the two intersections. I included a lot of the same improvements that Josh had already touched on previous slides. New pavers were installed on the east side. Actually, you can see on that picture on the right side, that was taken this morning. That's up over by Jack in the Box. All the new pavers are in on the east side between University Drive and 7th Street. We're working on completing installation. The rest of them there on the west side. That should be done by early February. Phase three is basically everything from 7th Street all the way up to Rio Salado. The progress that's shown on this slide is specifically more for the section between 7th Street and 6th Street on the east side and west side sidewalk areas. Includes brick removal that we've done. The photos there on the left side of the screen are on the west side of the road over by Jimmy John's. As you can see, we've got all that brick out, and we've got pedestrians routed out into the street as we're wrapping up the improvements on the west side. East side, we've still got pedestrians walking along the sidewalk in the brick there. But we've been pretty closely at doing the same sort of setup there on the east side. All right, so schedule. So first of all, it's kind of hard to see on the screen here, but this is kind of a snapshot of the entire project. So For instance, on that top left corner is the 3rd Street intersection showing the improvements all the way up to Rio Salado Parkway. And this is where we envision construction being at the end of this month. Phase 1 and phase 2, we had already touched on. That's that bottom right figure of the screen there. As you can see, that shaded green, that means that construction will be completed by the end of January. We've got that little piece over there on the west side, that shaded orange, that will remain. But for the most part, the bulk of construction will be completed up to 7th Street. And that's phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 3 is, as I mentioned before, is everything from 7th Street up to Rio Salado Parkway. Improvements began between 7th Street and 6th Street in mid-October and should carry us into March of 2025. The area that's shaded green on the screen there is what will be completed by the end of January, and the area shaded orange is going to be ongoing construction carrying us into February. So as you can see, we'll be working up on between 3rd Street and Rio Salado up on the north end. We're going to have an additional crew coming in working on that north end of the project while concurrently working on the section between 7th Street and 6th Street. So work hours, it's really going to be a mixture of both daytime and nighttime hours, really for the foreseeable future. Daytime hours will be 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. until we hit the summer hours, which will start a little bit earlier to capitalize on the, well, not capitalize, but get out of the hotter weather. But that won't be until come May. But right now we're 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and that's for the area of the sidewalk on the curb side. So that'd be the area along the curb line, essentially between the bump outs. Nighttime hours are from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. and they do kind of vary a little bit depending on the businesses. You're constructing those inner pieces of the sidewalk so that we're doing that during non-business hours and not impacting businesses throughout the Mill Avenue corridor. There is some nighttime work that will take place and that isn't in that 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. window, and that will only really be within the roadway portion of the project. So anything inside the curbs will be done from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m. That's near the streetcar tracks. I'm sorry, to get under the streetcar tracks, we need to be working from 7 p.m. to 5 a.m.
As far as business communication goes and communication out to businesses, I know there's a lot of different people that are providing information. I provide information from the Downtown Tempe Authority. You can get emails from me weekly. My email will be later in the slides there, and neighborhood services, as well as a few other places with the city. You'll be able to find information on construction weekly and just all the time through different web pages. But the communication that we're sending out, we're talking with businesses, going to door to door when construction will be in front of your business, and then providing access at all times during your business hours. There might be short periods of times where they'll have to take access away, but that would always be communicated beforehand. We have, since all the parking along the streets has been taken up with construction, we did move some short-term food and retail pickup. I believe it just says restaurants on there. Those are those green signs in that bottom picture there. Those are for just short-term pickup, drop-off that you can feel free to tell your customers if they're just coming in to pick up something really quickly. You can tell your Uber Eats drivers, delivery drivers, that they are feel free to use those green spots. Those are on the side streets right off of the mill, as close as we could get to your business. Also, a few different signs out there provided by the city or from Downtown Tempe Authority, trying to put out ones that really direct traffic into the pedestrian areas in a fun way that are eye-catching. It gets a little bit confusing when you're walking through the streets and there was a sidewalk there one day and, you know, the next day there isn't. So just trying to put out as much signage as we can, try to keep up with construction on that to make sure that there's just signs that are pointing towards your business while construction is impacting your front door. This is all the communication, emails, phone numbers, people that you can reach out to. If you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to anyone. If they don't have the answer, they will definitely know who will and be able to point you in the right direction. Let's take next steps.
I'll do it. It's me. I'm back. So the next steps we'll have an ongoing dialogue with the businesses and merchants downtown. Whenever it comes to the patio spaces that we will be getting close to, we will be having conversations just to let everybody know what to expect and what it's going to look like. I know that there's always going to be concerns on how much we're going to impact these businesses, but I really think with this accelerated approach, it will be less of an impact, but at the same time, the communication has to be on point, excuse me. We will continue our virtual meetings, second Tuesday at 2 p.m. The next one is February 11th, and then we'll have one in March, April, and May. At this point in time, are there any questions?
All right. I think that concludes the meeting for today. Thank you, everybody.